So welcome everyone, welcome. My name is Ernest. I'm one of the team members here at theprofitroom.com. And we also have Latoya.
Hello, hello,
And
hello.
hey. We just wanted to do a video to talk about the different aspects of the financial markets as well. We're looking at stocks, futures, options, everything regarding the stock market. During this particular time, 2020 has been a real challenging year for many people, a real challenging year. And it's been more of a reflecting year at that as well. What I mean by a reflecting year is that a lot of the stuff that we are used to doing, a lot of the income that we used to getting in, a lot of the way we live our life financially, physically, emotionally has totally changed. And it's become a big wake up call for all of us, no matter what. It's become like a huge wake up call. And one thing amongst ourselves in the community, we like to reach out to some of our experienced traders. So in a minute, we're going to talk to Mr. George Hasty. He's one of our mastermind students. So what do we mean by a mastermind student? George have come to us. How long has it been now, George?
Well, it's been 2 years, a year of education and a year of trading.
Yeah, a year of education and a year of trading. And we want to talk to him to see his journey from learning how to trade and invest in the different financial markets, also at the same time learning how to adjust his life financially, his personal life, just in general, and what have he benefited from it? What has he seen? Because as you know, you see here, George is a mature gentleman, and he's probably been through so many markets. He probably been through so many different financial situations that we can all glean from. So to start off, George, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. First, let me say thank you for allowing me this opportunity to address you guys and the audience. I have a heartfelt love for the Profit Room. I don't think there's a bigger advocate for what you guys do than me. But to get started, I'm as you said, I'm seasoned, and in my lifetime, I've seen a lot of things occur, and some of those things you're ready for, some of them you're not. But what I did learn early in my life was to get yourself prepared, because you didn't know what was going to be around the corner. And in 1987, October to be exact, and that month may ring true to you because I think Ernest, you just did a video on the stock market crash. I got into investing about 3 weeks prior to that day. And you won't believe, man, the market fell out, and I didn't have that much money in there, but what little I had was precious. And I never forget, I went to my financial planner, and boy, I was about to cry. And his thing was, don't worry about it. The stock market's going to rebound. It always has, and it always will. This is the time to save money in order to buy. So when that market goes down and those prices are at a point that you can absorb those prices and buy some of those high price stocks, now's the time to do that. So I felt a little bit better. And at that time, I had a part-time job. I'll never forget, I was working at a bank, cleaning up on the weekends. And on the way home, I was listening to a financial program, and I was living in Omaha, Nebraska. And that home, Omaha, is where Warren Buffett lives. And I recall the guy on the radio saying, this is the time to buy some Berkshire Hathaway. It's $3,500 a share. Well, you can imagine how I felt. $3,500. I mean, I was looking for stuff that was 15, 20 bucks a share. And that was it, because I was new. I didn't know any better. I wish now I'd have mortgaged my home, sold my car, and got about 15 or 20 shares of it, because it's very expensive now. But anyway, that began my journey with investing. And from that point on, it was investing and saving. I am a military veteran, and at that time I had my pay wasn't great, but it was livable. I raised a family on it, and took care of things, my needs, my wants, and most of the desires we had. But I learned how to save. And my rule was if I get a raise, which we would get one every year, cost of living, or if you got promoted, you got a raise. My goal was to save that money, not use it. And that was discipline. And that was instilled in me early. And so it helped me to accumulate a portfolio. So trading never came into existence in my head because I always thought it was something I couldn't do. And it just seemed like, the vivid images I saw, I never saw anybody who looked like me doing it. And that kind of added to it. Fault of my own, but that's okay. That's what I saw. And so those years went by and I didn't try. And had I tried earlier, I probably would have accomplished that, at that time and started my trading career early, but I didn't. Well, about 3 years ago, I decided, I want to learn how to trade. And I was looking at a newspaper article here in the local area. We have a paper called the Carolinian. And in the paper, there was Ernest Pitcher. And he was at some conference talking about the profit room. And there was a website. So I checked the website out and touched base. And I guess I can say the rest has been history. Because from that experience, I have grown exponentially in the world of building wealth. And I was blessed really to not necessarily have to do it for a living, but I really can see how someone could, if they wanted to, transfer themselves or transpose themselves from a working job, 9 to 5 as we call it, to trading for a living. It can be done and it's very, very rewarding. So all of that led me to where I am, in the trading world. I mean, there's a lot of bridges that I had to cross, being a military veteran, combat veteran for Vietnam. All those things add to me as to who I am and what I've become. But I'm able now to pass on some knowledge to my children and my grandchildren, if they become interested, because I find you can't force it down someone's throat. You can make it available. You can say, hey, this is what I can offer. But if they don't want it, they're not ready for it yet. Just keep moving. Just be available. You've planted the seed, let the seed grow. There's been, I know 15 or 20 people have come to me at least since our last video asking, how to do it. And I always send them to the profit room, now whether they come or not, I don't know. Because once I pass it, on, I kind of leave it alone. I don't hamper, criticize or ask questions because people kind of get offended when you do. But that's been, in a nutshell, my journey from becoming an investor to becoming a let me say full-time trader, because I do it every day. I do it every day, but only for a couple hours, I must say, because Ernest and them taught me how to put those trades in the morning, and hey, by 11 o'clock, either we made it or we don't. So that's been my story.
George, what markets in particular do you currently focus on trading?
My favorite is the equities market. That's my favorite, and I do that every morning. I like futures. I like foreign exchange. I like options. What I like is the diversification of it. I thought that maybe I needed to narrow my focus a little bit, but in my reading, I'm finding out from the experts who are more experienced than I am, is that sometimes that futures market is not working the way you may think it's going to work, or same with foreign exchange or options or equity. So you have something to draw on. You have, as I call it, another arrow in my quiver that I can go to and use for that day. Now, I must say that it's time consuming because I'm trying to, touch all the bases and look at all the charts, and it becomes daunting at times, but that's me. That's just how I do it. You don't have to. You can necessarily get one focus and focus on that. Jack of all trades, master of none. That's me. But it works for me, and I learned that in trading too. You got to do what works for you. I can watch Latoya and Ernest all day. I can't do it like them, because they have experience and they have their own way of doing it. But But if I had my druthers, if you took everything away and says, George, what you got to do? What are you going to do? It would be day trading equities. Because this is my term. I think day trading is sexy. I like that fast pace, man. It's beautiful. You know, when you're doing it well.
Yes.
When it's working for you, it's great.
Yeah. So one question I have, I know, just to recap, from 1987, so a little bit over 30 years. Now, coming into trading and investing, well, I mean, you've been investing as well, but coming into this atmosphere and the stuff that you found out now, how much more you think over if you started sooner you would be than you are now? Because a lot of people say, hey, I'm at a certain age or a certain time in my life. It's like, hey, I'm not going to learn how to ride a motorcycle now because I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt. Just for example, it's the same thing like when you read a lot of articles, especially people from our community, they work hard enough to create income to pass it on for generational wealth, but they are afraid to do certain things because they think they're going to risk it. Like one of the articles we were discussing, one of the gentlemen says that he avoids the stock market even though he could probably make 20 to 30% more, but he's afraid because the wealth that he already worked hard for to generate, he doesn't want to lose. He doesn't want to put in a situation that could harm his family, his kids, or his grandkids. How do you feel about that now? Like if you would have started before, or just even what I just mentioned, that statement.
You know, when I was younger, I was more of a risk taker. But even in my investing, I kind of stayed conservative because I knew that I had to depend on that, you know, in my future. So that conservative view would have worked even as a trader, you know, if I'd have got it then. The problem, I won't say that's a problem. The difference is, you know, during those days, we're talking about the late 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s. The environment was different for us as African Americans. I grew up, my parents were Depression era babies. So their thing was put it in the bank. That's what they taught me. Save your money, put it in the bank. Well, we know that the results, the returns on that are meager, minimal. You can do better. And so as I learned even about that, CDs and money market mutuals and things like that, mutual funds, it was conservative. It helped me maintain my principal, and I made a little interest. Had I learned to trade earlier, I would have been more along the way, you know. But I'm here to tell you, trading is hard, but you can learn it. You have to put the time in to do certain things, and you don't have to. I mean, there are thousands of indicators and oscillators, and there's all kinds of stuff out there. And if you're not focused, and that's what being seasoned helped me to do, because hey, I can remember all that stuff, you know. But a few patterns, a few things that worked for me to help me develop my edge got me to where I am now. I'm comfortable. I'm confident that I can look at a chart, I can wait for the setup, I can make a decision, I can get in and get out. Now, if you've been used to saving your money and not taking a risk, I can understand how folks will feel that way. I remember letting a few friends know that I was in trading, learning how to trade. And the chief thing I heard was, "Oh, you're learning how to gamble, you know?" And why do you want to gamble with your money? Well, I didn't really know the answer to give them at the time because I didn't know, you know? So I kind of was quiet. But let me tell you, that's not gambling. I mean, I have gambled. I've gone to the casinos. That's gambling, you see? But what the casinos have and what I have is called an edge. The casino operator knows that I can walk in there and he or she is pretty concerned, convinced that I'm going to leave some money on the table. They may let me win a few dollars a few times, But most of us are what? Greedy. And so he knows that's the edge. I'm going to put it back. You see. Well, my edge as a trader is my trading rules. And the more entrenched and the more familiar and the better my trading rules are honed to me. Now, again, everybody has to have their own trading rules. You can't look at mine and make yours. I tried that. That doesn't work. You know, you get those trading rules down and you live by those. That's your edge. So it takes away that gamble, you know? So even if I flip a coin, 50-50 chance of winning, if I get a 50% win in trading, I'm still doing pretty good. You know what I'm saying? 60, 70, 80 is better. But I'm saying I reduce my chances of my risk. I manage my risk better, and that's what makes a difference. So someone who may be a little bit afraid or a bit concerned, education and application equals what?
Success.
So you got to get the imperative word, education. That's first. And you try to apply first. Your account will dry up, I'm here to tell you. But get your education, spend the time, spend the resources to educate yourself, and then move into the application. You'll be successful. And how can you do that? I got to make a plug. The Profit Room will help you do that. Ernest and Latoya will help you do that. Don't try it by yourself. And you can go on YouTube and you can learn a lot of things. You can see a lot of things, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
So another misconception, if George, you don't mind sharing, at what age did you start to be an active trader?
I'm 72. I started at 70. Yeah, I started trading, you know, the education portion is 70. I didn't go to YouTube to try to learn anything. I got a few books that I purchased over the years, but you see where they're sitting on my shelf, right? But I've read them all, and I've brought some things with me. But I wasn't ready then. You see, the books opened my eyes, kind of got my juices flowing, you know. But you have to, as you say, put some skin in the game, and the skin in the game is doing the work, studying your charts, studying your patterns, studying your candles, spending that time getting your plan together. That's all part of it. But yeah, I was 70. And I was a little nervous because, again, you know, my wife and I laugh about it now, but I have to read things 4 or 5 times now. You know, it used to be I could read it once, twice, you know, and then I'll read it and I say, okay, I got this. And a day or two go by and I go, dang, what was that? But hey, I have my notes, you know, I have my resources. I know where to find it. I have a very 6-inch binder full of notes that I've taken over that year of training, of education. So I can always go back and get it. And that's the cheap part. See, people who are smart, they don't know everything, but they surround themselves with people who do know, or they know how to find out. And so that was sort of my take on it. And so, yeah, I was 70, a ripe old age of 70. So I am the AARP representative of the Profit Room as we speak right now.
Right now.
So one thought, since you have a lot of experience, why do you think it's imperative now that even if we're not trading, especially our community, with everything that's going on with the pandemic and stuff that we've been through, why do you think it's important for us to get involved with the market? And do you think, from your experience, do people need a lot of money to participate? I know we already know about the education side, and which is very important, but why do you feel at this point, with everything that's going on, from your just life experience, have you ever experienced anything like this before, where people's livelihoods change just like that?
You know, I was sort of sheltered from a lot of things. I'm a military veteran of 30 years. The upside of being in the military is that, you know, the 15th and the 30th, or the 1st and the 15th, however you got paid, you got paychecks every, you know, twice a month. So you get sort of spoiled. You don't really have to hunt for your food, so to speak, as if as compared to my civilian counterparts who are out there hustling, scuffling, trying to get jobs, changing jobs. So that made a difference. Now, being in the military didn't shield me from other things. I mean, we still, whatever went on in the world, we had to take a part of it as well, being in the military. But I spent a year in war. I spent a year in combat, and I'm blessed to be here and be alive. So that's a thankfulness that I have, you know? So yeah, things have gone on in my life, but still, you have to be grounded in some things. You know, you have to, at some point, we're young, we do things, we take chances, we take risks. But as we get older, hopefully we put those things behind us, you know, and we don't go back and get them anymore. And if you have a family, I had always had, you know, family, children. And so they expect to eat, and they don't want to hear, I don't have any money, you know? So those things made me stay grounded and stay straight and keep things in perspective. This particular situation we're going through now, to be quite honest with you, it doesn't affect me that much because my income primarily is from pensions, you know, and savings. And now trading, I have income coming in, and I'm able to do some other things with that to enhance my wealth to pass on to my children. You have to understand that with trading comes responsibility. With making the money comes responsibility. And I want to share this with everyone who wants to trade and everyone who may be making money trading. There are tax implications for people who are in the stock market. The IRS codes are written for people with money in the stock market, you know, people who own houses, people who rent houses to people. You get tax breaks for those things. Now, I'm not saying it's all about taxes, but they are important. So if you want to play the game, and the rules are written for certain rules. And if you got to play the game, you got to learn those rules. And being in the stock market, having stock helps you out. And it certainly increases your bottom line. And it's going to do more for you than putting it in the bank. And you don't have to be, you can be ultra conservative. There are some mediums out there that, boy, it's almost like, are we really investing? But yeah, it comes with a risk. All investments come with risk. So I say, hey, get involved with it, learn how to do it to help you, even with your 401k. You know, if you learn how to trade, you can now manage your own IRA. You can do that always. You know, you had to put your IRA with the company, and the company put the money where they wanted to put it, and that was it. You know, but now self-directed IRAs. I mean, if I'd had that back in my day, oh my gracious, I'd have been a multimillionaire now. You know, with saving and investing and managing. And then learning how to trade with that too. Oh my goodness. So now if I have a particular stock that's not moving well or not looking well, I can look at the chart. I have something to go back on to help me understand what I'm looking at. Because I'm going to tell you, if you're looking at getting a financial planner, if you want to separate a good financial planner from a bad one, just take a chart in. And if they can't read the chart, don't use them. And I'm here to tell you, most of them can't read it.
Oh, George, you're calling out 95% of the industry right now.
I know this, but that's the truth. That's the truth.
Spot on.
So they're going to sell you what they have to sell you. And that's, hey, again,
all those different
I'm not mad at them
funds.
because that's what I had in 87. I mean, it got me started. But you have to evolve. You know, you have to evolve from where you are. And the more you read and become involved, and that's part of it too, reading what's available, get some resources and do some reading for yourself. And just don't take someone's word that I got your money and I'm going to take care of it for you. Because when it's all said and done, you look around, you'll be the only one standing there. Your money's gone with it. So I hope I don't want to embarrass anybody. But again, that's just that's the truth, you know, with financial planning.
Learning how to read a chart or trading in general is so powerful because it crosses so many barriers, such as investing, long-term, short-term. Mm-hmm. Once you see that chart, you can really direct yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's the whole purpose of what Ernest and I do, is more about empowerment, mm-hmm. taking control of your finances and being mm-hmm. able to dictate how you want. Mm-hmm. And that's very important. That's key. I'm glad you made that point, because that's very true.
Yes.
You know?
I got familiar with the self-directed IRA about 5 years ago, and I got in and did some things, but you know they charge you too. You know, even if you don't do anything with it, they charge you too. And I go, well, no, I can do better than that. So I kind of pulled my money out of the self-directed IRA, but just the idea that it was available, it made all the sense in the world to me. And it was something I thought was new. I found out it had been around for a little while, but when I got introduced to it, you know, it had been around for a while. But it's a wonderful thing. So just handing over your 401k or your IRA to your company is, I think you can do a little bit better. But again, if you don't know, stay with that, because if you pull it out,
Exactly. Yeah.
you
Correct.
you tend to, I'm going to consolidate my bills. That's the that's the going. I'm going to consolidate my bills. Like, hey, what do? You get more bills, you know. So, but that comes with experience. It comes with age, being wise, and being burned a few times too. You know, let's not forget that. Yes.
I got a question to ask as well, because you are a real estate investor yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and Latoya is myself, and I started off in real estate, and the reason why I started off with real estate, like many others, you want ownership, right? And also, like one of the articles I read, we was talking about it's tangible. I mean, like you can see it, you can touch it, you
Mm-hmm.
know it, and you have a sense of pride, like ownership. And
Mm-hmm.
I still like real estate, like yourself, you still invest as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I know from our communities, it's easy to drive past and see what you own versus stocks. You have to trust someone. So how do you feel uh, with trading and real estate as well? Like I know you do both,
Mm-hmm.
and some people may be apprehensive because a lot of my real estate friends that I know don't want to touch the stock market. They rather always put it back into a property, which is fine,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what they feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, over the course of time and the returns, even though real estate has grown, and I'm still an advocate of ownership, and it does have some tax advantage as well, even
Mm-hmm.
though I can't. The tenants, you know, in New Jersey is just I ain't want to get into that. But
I
how do
feel
you
your
feel
pain.
about that? The investing in the market and also the real estate. How would you compare the two? Because a lot of people always ask about that, and you can make money in both. But how do you feel since you have a lot of experience as well in real estate?
Yeah, I like the fact of real estate. It brings on a different set of problems, you know, and that's okay. I mean, again, the tax laws are written for folks who provide housing for other people, people who provide jobs for other people. The tax code is full of incentives for you. I'll use that word. Um, and even in trading, once you can, you know, figure out, well, trade enough to achieve trader tax status, hey, it's a different ball game. Um, Me personally, I like the trading because it's really, you know, it's just me, you know. And I'm sort of an introvert. I guess you can't tell that sometimes, but I'm sort of introverted. So me doing my own thing, being an only child, helps out too. Hey, I get in the room, do my work. I'm responsible. If it blows up in my face, I can't fault anybody. You know, I'm in this alone, pretty much. But and with real estate, I've got friends who buy homes, redevelop them. Some of them they sell, and then some of them they keep for rentals. And so yeah, that's another stream of income. And my financial planner, one of them is Lou Hutt. And Lou Hutt, he has a kind of a mantra. You know, he says, hey, you know, millionaires have 5 or 6, 7 streams of income. So I go, well, if that's the case, you know, and real estate is one of my streams of income. I wouldn't dare cut it off. Now, I'll get to a certain age at some point, may not want to take care of it anymore, so I'll turn them over to a management company, you know. Um, since I've been trading, just bought a property 1st of September, brand new townhome right up the street from me,
Hmm.
for an investment, you know. So trading has its perks, you know, so because you got to do something with the money. I mean, you can certainly sit on it.
You got to do something with it.
You got to do something with it for it to grow. You know, so now I can take that income and put it into a rental property. I have some residual income. That's money being made while I'm asleep. It doesn't get better than that, you know. And even with investing, you know, your stocks are working while you're sleeping. But like this week, things have been a little rough. So if you just been investing it and didn't know how to move them around, you suffered some loss this week. You know, last week was a good week. I mean, things were up. Boy, my portfolio was just growing. But hey, this week things changed a little bit. But now I have a counterbalance. I have some rental properties. You know, we invest also in startup businesses. You know, help entrepreneurs who are out there trying to struggle to get their business started. They need capital. You know, so hey, draw some nice papers and we sit down and discuss how they're going to repay. Return on investment. That's the key. You got to get your money back. Plus, you don't give anything away. You know, now for your family, that's different. But folks are out here who are trying to grow businesses. It's called return on investment. So you have to make sure the paperwork's straight and everything's according to law. And you can invest in startup businesses. You know, there's a couple out there that I think will just blow up because they're young people, African American people who have brilliant minds with brilliant ideas. Man, I go, hey, I couldn't think of that, but having to have a little bit of capital in on the side to invest. You know, so that's another stream of income because one day, hopefully, they'll either sell the company or, you know, go IPO, you know, and you know, I'll be Facebook status. So, you know, so that's how I look at it, you know, and with trading, I've developed, I formed a business because that's important. I mean, this education is expensive. So why not get a benefit from it? You know, I have to pay for education if I go to school. I get a benefit from that. So it's the same with trading. But you got to set up your entity. You have to set up, you know, an LLC or corporation, whatever structure you use. But now when I take a class or if I have to do something that costs for the business, it's the cost of doing business. I don't look at it. I don't even think about it no more because I got to do it for the business. I'm in a private home. I'm working in my home. We have a lot of power outages here. So I had a whole house generator put in. Because if I'm in the middle of a trade and the power goes out, you know that feeling? You've had it, right?
Horrible feeling.
Oh yeah, it's a horrible feeling. Or
break everything.
Or your broker goes on decides not to answer you. You know, so hey, but hey, that's all right. And I shouldn't say
George,
that's
I got
a credit. That's a tax deduction, taxable deduction. So, but it's the cost of doing business. You know, so, and you have to think about those things. You know, once you get into trading, you have to think about those because it's different. It's a different world. You're taking responsibility for yourself. You're taking responsibility for your business. And trading is a business. I'm selling and buying all the time. You know, so why not treat it like a business? But I didn't know that until I got involved. And there's a whole couple books out there on that. And of course, you know, you have a CPA that's not linked with your company, but you've interviewed Brian Rivera. Boy, he has my K1. You know, so yeah. It works. And he's a trader too. So that makes a big difference.
Right.
So I hope I answered the question because I have a tendency to ramble a little bit.
No, it's good because it's showing the different aspects of investing. Like that's why I was saying the difference because we do a lot with real estate. And that's the great because we want, you know, the American dream, home ownership and things like that. So when you're used to one thing that's working, sometimes you feel like it's hard to step off to something else because I just knew I was going to be a Robert Kiyosaki. And when I was 19, I was just buying everything. So, but when I made that major transition, I've seen here, like trading has saved my properties. I have a commercial property now with only one tenant since January, but I can afford to keep it vacant since COVID. And I had another tenant that got COVID, you know, so it's like you said, there's still a business and there's tax write-offs, but if I didn't have trading, I would end up losing the property.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I would end up losing the property. So it's just something where even though trading may not be for people or certain, it's just a thought process. Like, hey, let me learn a little bit more about it and things like that. And it's pretty much other stuff, like you mentioned, investing in startups, things of that nature. So I just wanted to get your viewpoint because we all know a lot about people in different businesses and also real estate as well.
Yeah. I
So
got friends, they swear by real estate development, and I say hats off to them. But
Yeah.
I'll share it with them. There's another approach. You might want to think about it.
yeah,
That's all I can do. Plant
yeah,
the seed.
yeah, that's cool.
Hmm.
So another question I wanted to ask, because we're going to get to another student who signed up too, since you the OG.
Okay.
Why are you trading now in your life? Why are you trading and investing now? Since you retired, pension, you have a lot of investments. Why are you doing that now?
You want to know the real reason? The chief reason?
Yeah,
As we get older, man, we lose our mental capacities. Things start to reduce, and everything you read about Alzheimer's prevention and trying to keep things cognitive working, your cognitive skills working, is to learn something new. Get involved in learning something, foreign language, taking music, something. And so, honestly, when I thought about the trading thing, I said, boy, I'm getting older. Maybe I can do that. And I'm telling you, it works. It works. Because again, as I said earlier, it takes me some time to get it and to retain it. But I don't hesitate going back, getting it again as many times as I have to. But it's a difference. And I recognize that difference. So trading helped me in that respect. That's one of the real reasons that I started trading, because I could have just kept investing. Even at that, I was getting a little bit more elaborate with my investing, because even on the investing side, you can kind of do some things and make some different moves because there's a lot of vehicles out there to learn about. But trading helped me to uh, improve my cognitive skills, my retention skills, exercising my brain, calling on that recall, that memory recall, things that were kind
the
of slipping. Right?
reaction, right? The
Yeah,
reactions and stuff.
exactly. Uh, even I had to get. I couldn't see the candles. I had my little MacBook Pro, man. I was straight. I got a nice 43-inch monitor now, so those candles are huge. and plus, I'm colorblind, so I can change to black and white. So I know that's a trading hazard. You got to know your colors. You think you're going green, you're going red. So,
Yeah.
but that was part of my process, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
My wife and I have a habit. We got so inundated in 2016 with the news, and that's all I'm going to say about that. We couldn't stand it in the morning. So in the morning we read for a couple of hours for each other, and she pick a book that she wants to read, and I'll pick a book that I want to read, and so we listen to each other read, and that really helps out because it's retention. It's exercising the brain, and I'm reading better. I'm retaining that. So when it came to trading, now all the things I wanted to read, I just add that to our repertoire. So she's learning too. She asked me, we have breakfast at about 11:30. We have brunch, and she said, "How's trading today? How's things going? How's the market?" So I said, "Oh, okay, she's listening." Because hey, it's her money too.
Yeah, exactly.
you know.
George, I have a question for you. How do you feel as a statement saying that the stock market is a stimulus? Like the markets in general can be your stimulus.
Oh, Latoya, that's deep. It can be your stimulus, but it's something that you might not depend on it at first, because if you're used to getting a hard check and now you got to kind of work for it, you got to kind of trade for it, you got to make some decisions that are going to work, things that's going to produce that income. uh whew, yeah, it can be. I know I'm not answering the question properly, but it can be a stimulus, because if you think about it that way. But before you get to that part, you got to get educated. You really do, because if you're
Right, right,
depending on it, you could be let down. Because
right.
it doesn't work for you that fast. I'm telling you, it doesn't work for you. My simulated trading time it took a while. Because I had a certain number of trades I wanted to kind of get in succession. So many good trades before I put the money on the table, and it wasn't working. I just, what am I doing? But what I did do was go back and look to see where my problems were, And just to throw a little sidebar, journal keeping, keeping my journal, man, that made a big difference. When I got a hold of that, that changed things, because now I can go back and see where I made mistakes, because you're going to forget from day to day or week to week. What did I do? Because you're going to see patterns again. You're going to see things happen. You go, didn't I do that before? Well, you have your trading journal. You can go back and kind of reflect. And that's is the catalyst that turned my trading around, was my journal. And so now it's a little bit better. I've had some good weeks. Some good weeks. And yeah, I've had some red days now, but I haven't had a red week yet.
And
So
that's understandable. That's very key. And we try to explain that to people. Like red days, they are inevitable. But there are times which you can go on a week-to-week winning spree where you do not lose a week at all. You're like, man, I'm just really nailing it. The one reason why I asked that, in part in terms of stock market being kind of like the stimulus, is because all we hear about within the news is stimulus, waiting on stimulus, So it's more of that, like being dependent on something, So that's why I kind of directed you that particular question.
The paycheck gets you in that mode, and again, we get into situations because we have families, we have goals, we have objectives, we have things we want to do, and so we kind of get locked into that, and it can be narrow visioned. And until you kind of step back and look at things broadly, but that takes time. We don't all get it at one time. I mean, I've got friends who are my age and some older, and they'll ask me, what is that, man? In fact, we had a Zoom meeting, and someone asked me how my trading was going. I said, well, you need to ask the wife, because you're not going to believe me when I tell you. Let her tell you, because if I say it, it's going to sound like I'm bragging. I certainly don't want to come across like that, but it's been grand. It's been great. And I'm going, if I can do it, I know a lot of other people can do it too, but you got to have courage. You got to have faith and not have that fear. And because that fear will kick you, boy. It'll just sit on your back and just sit right there. I was listening to something that Les Brown was saying, that he had been motivational speaking for, I think, 21 years, but he could have done it for 31 years had he just took a chance, took a risk. He had all the tools. He listened to all the great motivational speakers, but he just didn't step out on his own. And when he did that, he go, well, first question you ask, well, why do I wait so long? You got to go through your process. It takes you time. And everybody have their time. So, and once they get and decide, okay, I'm ready now.
Yeah, and that's what, like we was mentioning with this unfortunate pandemic. It's like an eye opener where, like you said, the education is first, but realizing, especially during this economy, the stock market is in your face all the time. Like the barber is the landscaper, everybody is talking about the stock market. So it's just like, when you're waiting on a stimulus check or somebody to give you something because you're used to the paycheck, which is understandable. At this time, maybe next year or sooner, if you grasp the information and you understand, there's ways that you can participate so you don't put yourself in a situation where you may be hurting again. It's almost like a motivating factor. I remember, like personally myself, like when you are a W-2 employee, you have a great job, everything is going well, then at a flick of a switch, a manager or supervisor can really take your livelihood. Like, you sit back, oh, I got these houses, I got this to take care of, and now I'm in jeopardy. So you kind of wake up a little bit. And that's where it kind of shook me a little bit, in order to say, you know what, I'm trading, I'm doing well. Let me make sure I master this, in order to put myself in a situation where I know I can step away. Right. And so that's where, like, we're looking at this whole situation in the pandemic wise, because a lot of our students are doing very well now because they have to stay home. Right. And they have to study. They have no choice. They're not going out to the lounge or the club on the weekends and stuff like that no more. So now it's like, you know what? Let me implement more than what I was doing before. Now they see it. Hey, oh, I could really make this a career. Like,
Mhm.
we're not advocating if you have a good job or career to leave, but they're seeing the potential because they're at home.
Mhm.
They're forced to stay home.
Mhm.
So that's what, like, we were, trying to let everyone know. It's just that I've never been through a situation like this, and it's very hurtful, disheartening when you have to really rely. Like you mentioned earlier, when the grandkids are kids, what do you say? I'm hungry. They don't know that you.
They don't want to know that.
They
They
don't want
don't
to know
know
that.
that. Oh, my kids are grown now with kids of their own, but I remember when, they wanted that G.I. Joe the Kung Fu grip for Christmas, They didn't. Dad doesn't have it, Or my paycheck was we had a catastrophe. So we had to make a move, because in the military you move quite a bit, but hey, got to
Yeah.
do what you got to do. But even then, I recall having friends. We would talk about investings and a few companies that they were with, and a company I was with, and we would compare notes. But again, I had no say so. I basically bought a mutual fund, and it did what it did. And I'd watch it go up, and I'd watch it go down, and I'd watch it go up. But in the long run, it always came out with more than I put in, always. And I didn't need it then. Heaven forbid if someone needed their pension now or back in March when the market kind of took a dump. I think about those days. And I tell my wife all the time, we really are fortunate because we don't have those issues. So we kind of sit back insulated, in our homes, but we have compassion, we have empathy. So we're always giving, and this is another way of giving, what I can pass on to people through what I know and offer them opportunities. And I can say, I can tell you where you can get it, but it's not going to be free. Folks want a free ride, And I tell everybody the lunch is free until you eat it. Once you eat it, you gotta pay. So
You know what I'm excited about with George? Like, it's even like Latoya and I talked about this before. Like, being a mastermind student and early on trading stocks, options, Forex, and futures. Like, you're able to pivot every market. It's amazing. It's amazing. And you know, every time we get a student, we always like, yeah, we could teach whoever. We could teach whoever. Then it's like, oh, now we're like nervous when we got you. Like, oh, you know, show you how to read a chart and stuff like that. But the thing is, you're a student of the market, and we didn't do anything different. We followed the same exact thing, but it's kind of intimidating because you don't want to let anyone down. Like, oh man, am I showing the right way? Am I doing anything the right way? So that's real motivating for us. You being the OG, and now we just got a new student about 2 weeks ago, and his granddaughter is going to be helping him. So when he calls, Latoya and I, we spoke to him, and old school, y'all take your time. How you doing, Ernest? How's your day going? Latoya, tell everyone how old he is.
Is he 83? I might
83
get
years
that.
oh,
old. Yeah.
Yeah, he's 83.
He
3 years
called.
old. Hats off to him.
And
Oh my goodness.
he's sharp. He's sharp.
Great,
He says,
great.
I'm 83 years old. I want
Uh-huh.
to learn how to trade and
Wow.
invest in the stock market. He said, I have investments. I have this. I have that. I just want to be able to sit down at the computer and look at a chart and be able to enter and exit a trade.
Wow.
You
That
know,
is phenomenal. That
and
is
it's like
phenomenal.
he's sharp. Like when you have the conversation skills, like you mentioned, and and of course, he's a part of our community. So that makes it even better because he said, I have my granddaughter is
Mm-hmm.
going to be assisting me
Mm-hmm.
as I take the course and I learn,
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And it humbles me because he'll call and I'll talk real quick and I'm looking for something. Then he'll say, so how you doing today? So what's going on? Like, and it's like, you know, we just moving.
I
We
know you
moving.
are.
Then you
Yes.
got to stop and like, okay,
Yes.
yeah, I'm doing good. How about you? Like how's the weather over there? But it's calming because now that's another challenge for us because we know he's going to get it. We know he's going to get it. And the fact that his granddaughter is going to be helping him, she's going to see that he wants to learn about the market
Okay.
at that particular time. Business owner, he said he can retire if he wanted to, but he doesn't want to retire. He enjoys his work. He said, I enjoy the work that I do, and I
Yes.
want to learn more.
Outstanding. You know, I fill out some paperwork from time to time, and you know, it'll have, you know, job, you know, employed or retired, or, and I go, wow, you know, I don't. Am I retired? Not really, but I don't have a job. You know what I mean? You know, but and it's a wonderful feeling. But hats off to that gentleman, and you know, his granddaughter too, because if she's taking the time to be with him, to help him, guess what? She's going to walk away with too. She's going to walk away with an education too, but it's only going to be one payment, guys. You only get one payment. Whoa, I think that's wonderful. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just think about that. My gracious, 83?
83 years old.
Wow.
And I'm like, you want to, he said, I want to learn. Like, that's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. And I was like, wow. And I was like, you said, hats off, because sometimes, like I mentioned before, especially when you read a lot, like trading, investing can be so intimidating. And I don't know his why at this point, but a lot of people may run away or be afraid of something they don't know about, because it's like learning a new language.
It is.
Like,
It is learning a new language. Yeah, it is. You're right.
People jump from teacher to teacher to teacher, and for him to feel comfortable, you know, trying to learn from us is like, that's not even an honor in itself, because we learn from all our students. That's one of the reasons why we do the private mentorship, because even though it takes a lot of time, we pick up something from everybody's personality. So I can say, oh, I can see a little bit of George in this one. I can see a little bit of, you know, Sherelle in here in this person, or vice versa. Like, oh, Herb, you got a personality like Herbie, because even though we're all different, we all may have a certain type of life goal or certain similarities where it's like, okay, I know what I have to do now in order for you to understand this part, you know. And that helps us be better teachers. It helps us be better teachers.
My wife is a lifelong educator. She taught for, or been in education. She had been in education for a lot of years before she retired. And we were talking this morning about something that you were born to do, you know, and everybody can't teach, you know, no matter how hard they try. But when you have the task of providing instruction, you have the task of making sure something is passed from you to the other person, that comes with a great responsibility, you know, and you're charging them too. You see, that puts an extra burden on you. So they got to get it. You know, you want to make sure they get it, and that you do everything that you can to provide what they need. Now, they have to go home and study. They got to pull the charts out. They got to do some self-study, and you can't do that for them, you know.
Yeah.
You can make sure they do the homework, you know, and if they don't do the homework, you can chastise them, because I know Ernest, you'll do that. I didn't get any homework. Where are you guys doing? I didn't get any charts this week, you know. So hey, but that's what it takes, you know. That's your responsibility, you know. And deep down inside, people want to be held accountable. I hear people sometime in classes in the different rooms saying, "Get an accountability partner." You know, that's great. That's a wonderful thing. But the chief accountability partner you have is to yourself. And once you can account, you know, yourself, then, because I mean, nothing's worse than getting an accountability partner and you don't do anything. You know?
Yes.
The accountability partner is working harder than you work, you know? You know, can you imagine, Ernest, you go to work out and your instructor's doing all the work? That's not gonna work.
Yeah. But the spotter can't spot me. I'm like,
no.
help me. You know?
So they have to be accountable to themselves, and it comes with it's time consuming. And if you don't have the time, it may not be the right thing for you. But if you put the time in, it's going to consume some of your energy. You'll find yourself watching less television. You're going to find yourself maybe spending a little bit less time with your family. If your family's understandable, that helps too, because when you're first starting, you're not making any money. And so they want to know, what's all this? What's all this simulated trading you're doing? When are you going to bring some money in? Well, come on, it's going to take a while, you know. But when the money starts flowing, you know, because every evening I show, you know, show the wife the books. You know, she's all right, you know, because we have a saying, you know, what's mine is hers and what's hers is hers. You know,
Yeah.
that works out, man. You know, but she wants to know, you know, because hey, I got her SCP. You know, I'm handling her SCP. You know, so I got to do the right thing. You know that. Let me mess that up, but he won't see me anymore. He said, "What happened to George?" But it comes with responsibility, and hey, to teach, man, it's a rewarding experience. And you got a lot of students that you guys have taught. You know, I know I'm not the only one. I mean, I see the rooms, man, they're full, and people are communicating and trading, and they're making money. I go, wow, this, and it's caught on. So the 2 years I've been with you, I watched you guys exponentially grow, you know, in your size, and that's, you know, your website change is it's a very interactive, professional website now. I said, wow, not that it wasn't before, but it's much better now. I go, wow, boy, the private room is big time. So I feel good being a part of it, you know, being associated with. So I don't have a problem sending people to you, you know.
No,
So keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
So we're about to wrap up. We appreciate the time you have, and it's just great to have someone like you just, you know, give of your time and talk about your experience. Because the whole goal when we like to do these interviews or just in general is just so people can feel comfortable and just realize they can control their financial destiny and their needs. They just have to, you know, put in a little bit of work. Like I know I always like my personal trainer, and I always say this all the time. He says I could bring anybody in any shape they want. Just
Mm-hmm.
give me 2 months of your life.
Mm-hmm.
He just said, give me 2 months of your life, and I could put you in the best shape of your life. And he's proved it with me over and over again and other people, and because he has structure
Mm-hmm.
and he has everything written down. It's just you as the individual.
Mm-hmm.
You have to trust in yourself and listen and
Mm-hmm.
apply it.
Mm-hmm.
And you taking our instruction and listening and apply it, like you mentioned before, you're going to get ridiculed sometimes from family members, like, you know, where's the results? Where's the money? But that's a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
But for you to go get past those obstacles and never stop, and now having your own trading business
Mm-hmm.
and trading accountant and buying properties off of trading is just that's amazing. Even in the 2 year span, the 1 year education and the 1 year trading,
Mm-hmm.
no, it's just simply amazing. It's just that's simply amazing. And like I said, we just interviewed a gentleman uh, named Herbie, young man, you know, mid to late 20s. Just because of COVID and the pandemic, it forced him at home. He fast tracked everything. He fast tracked because he stayed home from all the information and is making some amazing profits trading, you know, and doing like that. So it's like now is almost the time to just get the information and be able to run with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Latoya wants to mention anything, but I'll pass it over to her. But any last words after Latoya mentions something? You know, I'll let you take over.
Just gonna simply say, just piggyback off of your experience with your personal trainer. It's just, I'm just gonna put it in terms of the profit room. Give us at least 2 to 3 months of your time, your life, your efforts, and we're gonna transform your life in terms of learning how to invest and trade. Because we're confident in our abilities, and we see the reflection within every student we interview. And those who are shy, that still owes us an interview. Can't forget them.
Mhm. So, anything you want to say? Closing words you want to say, George?
It's I always like to give credit to you guys and also your staff. Deal quite a bit with Kevin and Don now. Some of your moderators. I met Trader Shells. I saw knew about her, but her name is Sherelle. So I had a chance to chit chat with her on you know, direct message, and so wonderful people. You know, wonderful people. So your students are in good hands. You know, they need to know that because you know you invest your money, you expect a return, and things may be going a little not the way you really want them to. I've talked to a lot of folks direct message, and I always let them know I may give you an answer, but always check with Ernest and Latoya or Don. My word is not. I'm not the teacher here. I'm just maybe passing on or facilitating some information to you from my perspective. But you guys do a wonderful job, And so hats off to the staff and your administrative staff. And I always say, Kevin needs a raise. Because he does some wonderful work, man. And I remember I was in the room there for a while. He was doing the foreign currency, man. And he would post his currency every week, how he had done, the pips he had made. I go, man, this guy's good. I said, he's an administrator, so I know I got to get it. What I'm saying? But he's probably been training a long time as well. But he's doing his dual hats, administrator as well. But he does his job. He gets back to people. If you email him or text him or direct message, he's on the spot, on the money. And if you miss something, I've lost some. And when I was in class, I'd lose a chart or something. He'd get it back to me. Wonderful staff, man. So you guys got a good team, and that's what it takes. You're gonna go places. You're gonna profit from it. There's some great things on the horizon for you guys. I've watched you grow just in the short time I've been here. So keep doing what you're doing, because you're teaching, and that's wonderful. And some of us are learning.
Thank you.
All right, George, appreciate that. Like we said before, we are the Profit Room. Latoya and I, we have a stock market trading education company, and we look forward to helping people become independent professional traders like George here. So if you're interested in learning or just want some more information, you can always follow us on anything social media that says the Profit Room. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We also have a Facebook group, the Profit Trading Room. And look out, we have a lot of stuff in store towards the end of 2020 and also the beginning of 2021. A lot of great stuff that we know that a lot of people will really benefit from, especially in our community. All right, so you guys have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, George.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.